A girl like me isn't really into action movies, but if there's a deep story in it that could potentially move me to tears, then that movie was definitely made for me. I'm Danny, and in this video I'll be recommending 3 war movies you simply must watch. The first war film I'll be recommending that could potentially move you to tears, it did me, is Saving Private Ryan, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, Vin Diesel, and a bunch of others. Here's a quick summary. So a general finds out that 4 brothers were serving the country as soldiers, and that 3 have already died in action. After reading Abraham Lincoln's Bixby letter aloud, he believes it isn't right for a mother to lose all her 4 children at war. And so he orders the last brother, James Francis Ryan, to be found and brought back home. 3 days later, Captain Miller receives the order to find Private Ryan and bring him back. He chooses 7 men to make up his search party. These men begin to search for Ryan, losing 2 men in the process. Eventually, they find him among a small group of paratroopers preparing to defend the Key Bridge against an imminent German attack. But Ryan refuses to go home with them, saying that it would be nothing but cowardice for him to leave the other men behind, as they were not enough already. So, to ensure that they eventually bring Private Ryan back home, Miller and his men have to stay and defend the bridge with them. When the enemies arrive, it becomes a bloodbath to say the least, and most of Miller's men are already dead by the time American armored units arrive to rout the remaining Germans. First of all, when they finally found Ryan and he was like he couldn't go back with them because he didn't want to abandon his men, I was like, beat this guy up. Oh. So the ones who died when they were trying to find you, their lives didn't matter, Abi. I wanted them to leave him there and go back, but no, they all decided to stay back and fight with them. If you want to know how the movie ended and what part of it made me cry, you should definitely go ahead and watch it. The second movie I'll be recommending under this category is Hacksaw Ridge, directed by Mel Gibson, starring Andrew Garfield. What I find most incredible about this movie is that it was based on a true life story. The adapted screenplay tells the story of a man, Desmond Doss, who was the first conscientious objector to be awarded the Medal of Honor for service above and beyond the call of duty. Desmond felt it was wrong of him to go about living his life when the war was going on and young men were fighting for their country. Against his father's wish, he joined the army but applied as a conscientious objector, who is basically someone who has claimed the right to refuse to bear arms or perform any form of military service. Desmond was a Seventh-day Adventist and was abiding by the commandments, "Thou shalt not kill." Instead, he chose to serve as a combat medic. Desmond got into a lot of trouble for this. The soldiers in his team hated him. They often tried to provoke him, and his superiors insisted that he train in the use of firearms, but Desmond just wouldn't budge. He was literally taken to court on the count of this, and although he missed his own wedding as a result, he ended up winning his right to go to war as a conscientious objector. And this is literally where the story just began. The curiosity would eat you all up, wondering if he would survive the war, how he would survive the war, who could potentially die as a result of his refusal to carry a firearm, and just all of it. But I tell you one thing, if you haven't watched this movie, you definitely should, because you probably might never experience another man like Desmond Doss again. The third and final movie I will be recommending for your viewing and possibly weeping pleasure is the timeless Pearl Harbor, directed by Michael Bay, starring Ben Affleck, Josh Hartnett, and Kate Beckinsale. Danny and Ralph are 2 best friends and amazing Air Force pilots. During his medical examination, Ralph meets and subsequently falls in love with a nurse named Evelyn. A relationship sparks between them, and 4 weeks later, Ralph informs Evelyn that he has been accepted into the Eagle Squadron and that they will be leaving the next day. Evelyn is beyond devastated but Ralph promises to return to her. He did not return. They gun his plane down into the English Channel, and after a futile search for him, he's declared dead in action. Grieving, Evelyn turns to Ralph's best friend Danny for comfort. In the process of comforting her, the both of them eventually fall in love and start seeing each other. Then one night, Ralph suddenly shows up at her doorstep. He explains how he survived and eventually learns that she's now seeing Danny. That same night, he confronts Danny and they get into a serious fight. The both of them end up falling asleep in Danny's car and wake up the next morning to the historic Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Long story short, this movie was basically bass boost. They were just giving us left and right. And by this point in the movie, they showed us that they hadn't even started drawing the emotions out of us. I can watch Pearl Harbor every year for the rest of my life, and it remains my favorite wartime movie till date. So if any of the others is your personal favorite, please let me know. If you have any other recommendations under this category, please put them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media platforms as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel. And feel free to share this video with your friends. Till next time, thank you for watching.